Hey guys, Hamsterwheel here with a new video, and welcome to the 15th and final episode of Gearing for Dungeoneering. Today we have only one class and spec combination left, and that is the Holy Paladin. So without further ado, let's get started. So as of right now, this Holy Paladin, who is looking to start healing in dungeons, is in dire need of some actual purpose-built healing gear. Its current lackluster gear leaves much to be desired, and when we check out how much you can heal for, we have the following results. Flash of Light does an average of 720 healing, Holy Light does an average of 2940 healing, and Holy Shock does an average of 1100 healing. So yeah, not ideal, but we're going to work on that right now. So let's work our magic one last time, and there we go. That is much better. Alright, and as always, let's check out what gear we have for this class and spec combination. Starting off with the Headpiece, the metallic headband of Simmons, 45 stamina, 68 healing, 23 damage done, 12 mana every 5 seconds. Yes, it is a male headpiece. Ideally you want to have something with plate, but unfortunately plate healing gear that you can get through questing is very scarce in the Burning Crusade. So I just had to resort to a lot of like mail and leather and some other things too that you'll see later on. But despite this being male and having less armor, it is still really good. A lot of healing, a lot of MP5, which is pretty damn nice for Paladins too. So all in all, I'd say it's still a really good headpiece, and you should definitely get this for your Holy Paladin. Okay, moving on to the necklace, we're going to see a very familiar one, the Sethic Oracle's Focus. I've recommended this for pretty much every healer we covered, and here it is back again for the Paladin healer. It's simply just too good to skip. It is an amazing item, 19 intellect, 35 healing, 12 damage on 8 MP5. So what is there to say that I haven't said already? Well, not much. It's just an amazing necklace. I recommend everyone to get this. It's not hard to get, on par with stuff out of Heroic Dungeons sometimes. Definitely worth your time. So there we go. That is the necklace I would recommend. Now for the shoulders, I'm going to go with a different one than the Restoration Shaman. These are the Otherworldly Pauldrons. 9 intellect, 12 stamina, 23 spellkit rating, and 26 damage and healing. So they offer less healing done. Of course, this is another damage and healing item, but they have less healing done than the Rock Chief Pauldrons I recommended. But this one has a fair bit of crit rating, and Paladins actually benefit a lot from crit because of their talent Illumination, which basically means that if you crit with Flash of Light, Holy Light, and a few other spells I believe, you get 60% mana back. And especially in early on when you're still struggling a little bit with your gear, you don't have a huge mana pool, having crits and having some of that mana refunded to you is really good. So that's why I chose these over the other ones. They have a good amount of crit rating, still a decent amount of healing, so that's what I would choose for your Paladin to get. Up next, the Cloak, another familiar one, the Diviner's Cloak. 15 intellect, 13 stamina, 35 healing, 12 damage done, and 5 mana every 5 seconds. Not much to say here, I covered this before for a good reason. It is one of the very few healing cloaks you can get through questing. It offers a good amount of healing and some MP5. Just an amazing cloak to have. I would definitely get this for the cloak. Moving on to the Tunic, which is going to be the Void Slayer's Tunic. 21 intellect, 31 stamina, 88 healing done, 30 damage done, and 8 mana every 5 seconds. Yes, this is the same item I recommended for my Restoration Shaman. Unfortunately, again, I could not find a purpose-built healing chest piece that was plate for Paladins, so I once again had to resort to an armor lower than plate, which is male, and this one is still pretty damn good. Good amount of mana, good amount of stamina, a lot of healing, 88 healing, 30 damage, which is, always nice, and some fair bit of MP5. So all in all, a great chest piece, really boosts your healing, and also not super hard to get, so definitely recommend this for the chest piece. Moving on to the bracers, I'm not going to talk about the cloth healing bracers I recommended for multiple healing classes, because this time I'm going for the Rugged Mountain Bracers, 11 spell crit rating, 23 damage and healing, and 3 mana every 5 seconds. So they offer less healing than the cloth bracers, but in return you get some mana every 5 seconds, which is not bad for Paladins. And again, you get a decent amount of spell crit rating for that mana refund from Illumination when you're critting with a heal. So really good item. I mean, they're not amazing, they lack some base stats, and it's still like damage and healing instead of healing. But for what it is, it's pretty good. And at this level, once again, you can't be too picky with the items. You just gotta work with what you have, and this is a good item. So there you go, that's what I recommend for the bracers. Alright, moving on to the weapons. We're gonna go with this combination right here. Mulgor's Anointing Club, I believe it's called. 13 intellect, 19 stamina, 5 mana every 5 seconds, 160 healing, and 54 damage done, which is part from the Ring of Blood quest chain. It's also a really nice item. I prefer to go with the dagger, but unfortunately Paladins can't wear daggers, so we're kind of stuck with this mace. It's still really good though. It offers more healing. It is part of the Ring of Blood quest chain, which is on paper a fairly quick quest chain to do. Unfortunately, depending on your server and how high the population is, the Ring of Blood, usually based on my own experience too, is always a hotbed for gankers. So either you're kind of lucky and the other faction lets you do the quest with your other group, or it just turns out to be a complete crap show and everyone just ganking each other. So it really depends on who is there and who's looking for some PvP fights. But still, you know, it is worth the trouble because it is a pretty damn good healing mace with that 160 healing, MP5, a little bit of mana. Always nice. And I'm going to combine that with a familiar item, and that is the Unearthed Orb. Again, ideally you want to have a shield, but again, we're a healer, we're not tanking stuff, and ideally you're not going to get hit anyway because you're healing and the tank should have aggro, so armor isn't really that important. And this orb is still pretty damn good. 13 intellect, 29 healing, 10 damage done, and 5 mana every 5 seconds. So combine that with the mace and you get a total of 189 healing and 64 damage, which is not too shabby if you ask me. Moving on to the Libram, and fortunately we got lucky with one because, as I explained before, finding good Librams through questing is really hard because they're really scarce. However, this one from the Ultimate Bloodsport, which is part of the Nesingwary quest chain in the Burning Crusade, gives you this one, and this one is really good. Look at that. Blessed Book of Nagrand increases healing done by Flash of Light by up to 79. Now, Flash of Light probably is going to be your main spell that you're going to use through dungeons, and having that being boosted by 79 by just a simple Libram is just absolutely amazing. So if there's only a few items I would recommend to you guys out of all items we're checking out, this is the one where I would absolutely recommend you guys to get. It is amazing. Definitely get this. Alright, and for the trinkets, we're going to look at 2 familiar ones and then skip to 2 alternatives. But for now, let's look at these. Osh'gun Relic, 53 healing done, 18 damage done, and when you use it, it provides 213 healing done and 71 damage done. I've talked about this before. I've recommended this, plus the other trinket we're going to look at pretty soon, for every other single healing class, and that's because combined, they're just a really killer combo of raw healing and some mana regeneration. So that's what I would definitely recommend for your first trinket. Like I said before, it is super easy to get, offers a lot of passive healing, and that use is pretty damn good. And you could definitely combine that with this, the Heavenly Inspiration, which allows you to do more healing when you use it, 238 and also 79 damage, and has a passive of 10 mana every 5 seconds. So again, a really good trinket for Paladins, 10 mana every 5 seconds, pretty beneficial to them. So that's what I recommend for the first pair of trinkets. However, because we're talking Paladins and spell crit is really nice, I do have an alternative pair of trinkets for you guys. I'm going to start off with the Vengeance of the Illidari, which has a passive spell crit rating of 26, and when you use it, you get 120 spell damage and 220 healing. So it actually does more healing than the Osh'gun Relic, that's nice, but more importantly, it provides you with 26 spell crit rating. Now, if you combine this with our next item, the Ancient Draenei Arcane Relic, which has 21 spell crit rating, that is a passive spell crit rating of 47, which at level 70 translates to about 2.something% extra crit, which is definitely not too shabby, and a Paladin, again a Holy Paladin, can really use that. This one also has the same use that the Vengeance of the Illidari has, with 120 damage done and 220 healing done for 50 seconds. So you could either go with the previous trinkets I mentioned, or both of these, or maybe a combination of both. I'm just saying these are also really good because of that spell crit rating. So there you go. Those are the trinkets I would recommend. Moving on to the rings. These are going to be familiar too. First up, the Heirloom Signet of Convalescence. 11 intellect, 7 stamina, 5 spirit, 44 healing, and 15 damage done. Not too much to say about this. The 5 spirit, you know, kind of suboptimal. You prefer to get maybe MP5, maybe a little bit of spell crit. But again, at this gear level, you can't have it all. You can't be super picky. It's still a good ring because it has a lot of healing on it. Pretty easy to get. So there you go. That's what I would definitely recommend. And the second ring is also going to be a very familiar one. The Celestial Jewel Ring. 13 intellect, 55 healing done, 19 damage, and 4 mana every 5 seconds. So this one's actually really good for Paladins. Offers a little bit of intellect for mana. A lot of healing from a blue ring. And 4 mana every 5 seconds. So you can't go wrong with these. And you can't go wrong with the combination of this ring and the previous one. So I would definitely recommend you to get these for your Paladin. Up next are the boots, the Auchenai boots with 25 stamina, 25 intellect, 2 red sockets, a socket bonus with 3 spell crit rating, and 10 mana every 5 seconds. Now the boots themselves don't offer any bonus healing, but because they have 2 red sockets, you can slap some healing gems in there like I did, and still pump out 26 healing alongside 10 mana every 5 seconds. That 10 mana every 5 seconds, definitely not too bad at all. Again, I was looking for plate healer boots. Unfortunately, I couldn't really find anything, so I had to resort to these, which I also use for my Resto Shaman. But for a good reason, they're just pretty damn good to have at this gear level. So there you go, that's what I'd recommend for the boots. Okay, and for the pants, we got the Consortium plated leg guards. They offer 23 intellect, 3 sockets, a socket bonus of 9 healing and 3 spell damage, 51 healing, 17 damage, and 9 mana every 5 seconds. Now, despite that socket bonus being pretty nice, I still went for 3 red gems and just slapped some pure healing in there, because at the end of the day, healing is one of the most important stats for Paladins. Matter of fact, for almost any single healer class. So I just prefer to just stack plus healing every time I can, and that's what I did definitely here. And because I slapped some 3 healing gems in there, it offers 90 healing done just on the pants alone, and also 32 damage done. So 90 healing on these pants alone, pretty damn good alongside that MP5 and intellect. Definitely worth your time if I say so myself. Then move on to the belt, the Tarmill Defender's Kinch. 19 stamina, 18 intellect, 2 red sockets, a socket bonus of 3 intellect, and 12 mana every 5 seconds. Looks very, very basic, but not to be underestimated. Again, it has a ton of mana every 5 seconds for a blue belt, and those red sockets still allow you to pump out 26 bonus healing and 10 damage. And hey, because they're both red, we get to hit the socket bonus of 3 intellect. So, you know, 3 intellect, not ideal, it's just a little bit of mana, but hey, it's better than something. And all in all, it's just a pretty nice belt. It's not super hard to get. And despite this being mill instead of plate, again, I looked for a plate belt, but I couldn't really find anything. It is still pretty damn nice for a Holy Paladin, so there you go. And then last but not least, we have the gloves, the Cryo Mitts, which I also recommended for both my Druid and my Shaman. Once again, I looked for a plate, kind of purpose-built healing item. Couldn't really find anything, and nothing really beats this. I mean, just look at it. 22 intellect, 16 spirit, which is definitely suboptimal for Paladins. But just look at that, 57 healing done on gloves and 19 damage done. Definitely not too shabby for your Paladin. So even though they're leather and even though they have spirit on them, they're still really good for your Paladin. And I would definitely recommend you to get these for your Holy Paladin. And there you go, guys. That's all the gear I would recommend for your Holy Paladin that you should get. So after all that gear, how much did our stats improve? Well, after all these upgrades, we have made a huge jump into how much bonus healing we have. We have more than double the healing power we had before. We also gained a little bit more crit and also a lot more mana regeneration in and out of combat. So those stats are all fine and dandy, but how much can we heal with our spells with this current gear? Well, let's find out. So, Flash of Light went from 720 to 1010 healing. Holy Light went from 2940 to 3350 healing, and Holy Shock went from 1100 to 1320 healing, which is definitely not too shabby and a big boost in the healing that this Paladin can push out. So, with that increased healing power, a larger mana pool, and better mana regeneration, this Holy Paladin is now ready to start dungeoneering, hit heroic dungeons, and eventually join raids. And there you go, guys. After 15 episodes, we've covered every single class and spec combination that the Burning Crusade has to offer. So no matter what class and or spec you roll with, this entire series got you covered to take your gear to a respectable level. I hope you guys like these guides, and as always, I want to thank you for watching this video series. I'm Hamsterwheel, and have a good one.